Welcome to Summer Seminar. My name is Mrs. Travis McLaughlin, and I'm the kindergarten director at Pensacola Christian Academy. I have been in kindergarten for 21 years. I taught K-5 for 11 and a half years, and the rest of the time I've enjoyed being the director of our K-4 and K-5 program. That means that altogether I have over 500 students here in our kindergarten. I love this age group, and whether you're working with the nursery age group or K4 or K5, it is a delightful time. These children are so eager to learn what you get to teach them. Now, perhaps you have just started teaching. You just graduated from college and you're getting ready to begin your school year. Maybe you have worked in another area of your ministry and you just found out that you are going to be teaching kindergarten. Well, you have asked the question, can I really do this? And I'm excited to tell you that because God has called you to do this, He is going to be your strength. He's going to give you exactly what you need and when you need it. Now, I am a visual learner, and I love learning with our pictures that we use right in our Abeka curriculum. I love seeing the children learn from our digital clip art and the excitement that comes across their faces. So today, as we go along together, you're going to be learning along with me as we are able to see Button Bear show us some different things that we can learn. I am excited about our curriculum, and part of the first thing that we need to do is have a great foundation. I can remember when we were preparing to build our first home, seeing the ground break and then have a foundation laid was very exciting. I knew that that cement block that our home would be built upon would be strong. It would help us. Here in Florida, we have many hurricanes, and I was excited to know that it was hurricane-proof, and it would help us during those storms. Well, having a good foundation in the classroom is crucial, and I'm thankful for the curriculum that we can use. Perhaps you've received your binder already. That big binder can be a little intimidating at first, but let's talk about the preparation that you can do. The first part that you need to do is read those front pages. Those are the T pages in your big binder. Take those out, set them aside, and start there. Every year, as our faculty begin for the new school year, I myself reread those pages, and even though I've read them over and over again, the Lord still shows me something that we need to work on or that we can improve. So read those front matter pages first. The next step that you can do is read through lessons 1 through 5. I encourage you to look ahead and plan for your visuals. See what you need to ask for help with. See if you need to borrow something from someone. Isn't it true that we can find a dollar bin that gives us supplies? And we also become somewhat of a hoarder in our classroom because we're teachers and that's what we do. But I want you to look through what you have and see what you're going to need for the rest of your lessons. Now put that notebook aside. Do not look at lessons 6 through 170. You need to plan by the week and study by the day. This is going to help you with your preparation. It's going to be exciting to see that that foundation that the Lord has given you is also going to help you to build upon as you teach in the classroom. I can remember when the walls went up in our home. And as we moved in on that first day, I was not afraid that when I shut the door, everything was going to fall apart. Oh, we've seen the children, they build with their building blocks a castle or a fort. And then as they knock it over, it does not stand strong. But aren't we thankful that the Abeka curriculum has provided a foundation that stands strong? As a child in kindergarten, my school used the Abeka curriculum, and I can say that it is time-tested, and I'm thankful for the truths that still stand strong today. Now, it's been a long time since I was in kindergarten, but it's fun to look back at those stories and see the things that the children have learned that I myself learned in kindergarten too. So that's all part of our classroom preparation, and in getting us ready, we are able to have confidence as we plan our teaching for those first few weeks of school. We want to make sure that as we look at our foundation, we want to build upon that. So as I think of the structure of a house, I like to look at this next part, which is that first floor. Now, you'll see here that we have 3 floors in this home. But that first floor is going to be where we spend most of the time. That first floor is what we're going to look at as habit training. We need to lay the habit training over and over again on that foundation that we've already built. So when I think of a home, we walk through that front door, we may go into a living room, we may have a room that leads into the kitchen, but as a family, this is where most time is spent. So here in those first few months of school, as a teacher, you're going to spend a lot of time in your habit training. So let's talk about some ways that we can really make that habit training meaningful and effective for everyone who is involved. Just like the first floor is going to be that center of activity in the home, that first floor or that first day or that first week, and even for these little ones, the first few months of school is going to be where you establish your authority. That's going to be your first step in habit training. As you establish your authority, you're going to need to practice using a low voice, an authoritative voice. Often we get so excited about what we're teaching that our voice, when we get ready to use a different tone, may not come across as authoritative as we need it to be. Now, as veterans, we know that it's easy for us to practice this, and it's easy for us to do this. But as a new teacher or someone who may not even have gone through college teaching prep classes, we have to practice using that low, authoritative voice in the right manner. We also want to make sure that as we're explaining things to these little ones, we have to give definite and specific commands. We want to give them enough information where they understand what our goal is. Perhaps they are getting ready for a writing time, or they're getting out some toys and crayons that they need to use. We want to give them enough information without overstimulating them or giving them too much information that they can't carry through the simple command. Let's watch as Mrs. Turner does a great job getting her children ready for their writing time. She is able to show them exactly what they need to do and tell them specific commands. Also watch as she waits to see that they understood her directions.
Class, stand. Class, go behind your chairs. Do you have a smile on your face? You may quietly turn your chairs. When you have your tummy all the way to the table, we want to have good posture when we write. We don't want to lay over the table. We want to just have our tummy to the table.
As you can see, Mrs. Turner gave those commands, the children followed along, and she was also able to watch and check and make sure if anybody needed help, she could give them that help. We need to practice this much with our students. Those very first few days, even if the curriculum calls for a paper or it calls for an activity, your class needs to practice the habit training first. Do not feel overwhelmed that you need to get through every part of the lesson plan. Have a simple goal for that day. It may be that the children are able to get out their blue crayon and put it away. That's something you can work with. It may be that the children understand how to pass a paper. So practice that over and over again. Demonstrate it much and then follow through. Give them appropriate facial expressions. This is going to make it fun for them. If you see something that they just did not catch on to, instead of getting upset with them, give them a facial expression that lets them know, hey, we didn't get it right that first time, but I am so proud of you and how you tried. And we want to make sure that they feel empowered to do this. So making sure we have appropriate facial expressions will make the lesson come alive. It will also make it fun for the children, and it will help you as you're talking to them. Maintain eye contact. Make sure you're not just looking at one group of your class. Scan the classroom. Give eye contact to everyone. I've encouraged our teachers to try to recognize the children's eye color. Did they look at them long enough? Did they tell them that they loved them? Did they give them a hug? This is the age group where we're able to do that. And we need to allow the children to talk to us. We want to make sure that we're learning our students. So maintain eye contact with them and know what those children are learning. Ask the Lord to give you wisdom as you're working with these individuals. You want to secure cooperation from them. That's our next step as we're preparing what we need to do. So to secure cooperation, we want to get and keep their attention. That means we need to pull out some visuals. We need to have stuffed animals. Have fun pointers that you can use. Use those finger plays that will get them ready to watch you and will help them to focus on what your goal is. Let's watch now as Mrs. Stewart is able to really encourage one of her students as he helps her and she uses a pointer. You're going to see that pointer come alive as she uses it to maintain eye contact with the children and the board.
Jonathan, stand. Begin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Say hip hip hooray!
Wasn't that exciting? Didn't you love how she used that pointer? She did not move it all over the place. She simply followed her directions, gave the children the directions, and talked them through it. And then when Jonathan was so successful, it was praise, praise, praise. That is what's going to motivate your students. Your students will be encouraged as you praise them, and even giving that praise when they do not get it right goes a long way. We are working with an age group that when things don't go their way, often they may pitch a fit. They may get upset because they're used to always being the center of attention. And so when we're in a classroom environment, they have to learn that it's not always about them, that we work together as a team. And they're learning to work along with the others, the friends that God has given them. So when we praise them, even when they're not as successful as their friend, that goes a long way. It helps them to be excited. So we want to give positive, genuine praise to our students. Make them feel loved. Work on making sure that as you do give this praise, you're not saying the same phrases over and over again. Isn't it so easy to say, good job, good job, good job? You say it in different ways, but you're saying the same thing over and over again. I've had parents tell me, oh, my children love to come home and they play school, and we hear them say good job all the time. Sometimes I wonder, is that all they're hearing in the classroom? So I challenge you, here's something you can do. Have the alphabet up at the front of your classroom. And as you go through and you're working with the students, give yourself 5 letters of the alphabet that you're going to try to use. So you could use the word awesome. You could use the word beautiful when you're talking about their work. That was beautiful work. That was an awesome job. I love how you were listening. You can also use the word cool. You can use the word dynamite when you're talking about dinosaurs. So give yourself and challenge yourself to use different words and different letters of the alphabet. Put it in your lesson plans for that day, and it will help you to be able to encourage them. So as you're giving them this positive, genuine praise, we also want to make sure we're motivating them. Now, this does not mean we're bribing them. We're not saying, oh, if you do this, you're going to get this. We're giving them positive motivation, letting them know, wow, you stood when Mrs. McLaughlin said to stand. That is a high five for you. It doesn't have to be something tangible that they hold in their hand. It can be a hug. It can be a wink. It can be a thumbs up. It can even be winky blinkies. Do you know what those are? Winky blinkies are where they get to do this. Those are winky blinkies. They love having that praise. Now, it could be stickers. It could be happy notes. It could be something off of the board that you use with a learning game. So make it fun, but do not feel that you have to have something tangible in every subject of the day. That motivation can really be fun for you and for your students. Let's watch as Mrs. Turner motivates her students just by simply changing the way they recite something. See if you can tell how she motivated the children.
I'm going to show it to you a fun way, and then we're going to stand and say it that way. Are you ready? We're going to say it like a football player, and it goes just like this. I says it as an inchworm. I says it, huh. Now it's your turn. Class, stand. Students watching, make sure you're joining us. Begin. I says it as an inchworm. I says it, huh. Now, stay standing. We're going to say it like a cowboy, and we're going to pretend that we're riding a horse, and at the end we get to say yee-haw. Try it with me. I says it as an inchworm. I says it, yee-haw. Fantastic.
Did you enjoy that? She had those children reciting those phrases by using their cowboy voices. She had them talk in a football voice, and that made it fun. That is motivating them and getting them excited about what they're learning. We want to ask the Lord to give us that balance. This is something where we can overstimulate the class. We want to keep the children under control. You'll learn how to recognize your class and what their needs are. Sometimes you'll have a class where you feel like you have to stand on your head to motivate them. They may not get as excited, but sometimes you'll have a class where you have to tone it down quite a bit because they get overstimulated. So ask the Lord to give you wisdom so that you can have that balance of fun and control as you teach your lesson. Something that is so important is that you need to win their hearts. You may have a child that as you're motivating them, they really could care less about what you're saying. And so you find that often they just don't want to participate with you. And then eventually it does become a discipline situation. Reach out to their parents. Ask their parents, what is something they enjoy? Is it sports? Do they play t-ball? Is it something with a princess? Do they have a favorite color if they're not talking to you and telling you? Ask their parents. They will feel so important that you are asking about their child in that way. And then maybe you can plan to have stickers that are that color, something that the child can pick out of a happy box, and then they will get excited and that will motivate them. Win their hearts so that they want to do what you're asking them to do. You'll come to know that child and they will feel loved. Give them time in the morning as they come in. Greet them and just come and get right up beside them and let them talk to you. Now, they may not say much, so it may mean that you read a story to them and have them right beside you so that they can feel you just simply rubbing their back or giving them a high five or letting them turn the pages of the story. This will warm them up to you. It will show them that you genuinely love them and you care for them. So we are establishing our authority. We're securing cooperation. Now let's move on from habit training to the second floor of our house. Now, if you go into your home, the second floor might be where the bedrooms are. And if you think of a bedtime routine, you know that routines are very important. So as we've done habit training, we also want to make sure that we establish and we keep routines. Here at the beginning, you're going to be trying out several different things. You need to know what you can do that's going to work with your class. And it's okay if that first week you practice some things over and over again, but then you realize it's just not working. Redo it and try again. Here at the beginning of the school year, there's plenty of time for that. And then once you see that something works, keep doing it that same way over and over again. Think about how small these children are and how they need these simple things that they can do. They will thrive in your classroom when they feel they are secure. So having those routines and setting up those boundaries for them will give them security. It will help them with cooperation. This will help them to be successful, and it will help you to be excited about what you are teaching. So after you have established your authority in a loving way, learning is going to take place and you're going to do things more regularly. So what do? We need to reduce distractions. Let's watch as Mrs. Turner talks to the children about exactly what they need on their desk. I would like for you to look at the desk and see what does she have out on the tables. Maybe you have individual desks in your classroom, or you have tables that the children use. Maybe it's a special spot on the floor where they sit. Scan around and see if there are things that are going to distract them. Let's watch as Mrs. Turner helps her children remove those distractions.
Take your paper and pass it, please. Holly, you are ready to go. Take your paper and pass it. Oh, do it quickly. Look at that. Make sure your hand is at the top of your paper. Sometimes they get stuck together. There you go. Let me help you. I love when I get to help the friends in our classroom. Good job. There you go. Just take your paper and then slide them across. Take your paper and make it a happy paper. Put your hand that's not writing at the top. Look at that. Her hand is doing its job. Safa's hand is doing her job. They are dependable.
Did you see that all they needed was their pencil? There's nothing else out for the day. They're not going to have toys or baskets or even their crayons out at this time because they only need what they're going to be using. And then they're able to pass their papers and continue with their day. Have a sense of urgency. There's a lot that we get done in the day and that we need to accomplish. So it's important for you to be so well prepared that you can make every minute count. All of those minutes are important. We want to use that time that the Lord has given us to make every minute something that is valuable. So make sure that you are making every moment a teaching moment. Use every part of the time to be able to teach. Now, sometimes that means that you're just quiet, that you are watching, you're making sure they follow through with your instructions, and you're observing whether or not there's something that they need to do again or try again. So you're watching that. That's a teaching time. That is making every minute count. Try to involve every student in learning. One of my teachers loves to have popsicle sticks with every child's name on it. She has 2 baskets, and throughout the day, as she calls on a child, she takes that popsicle stick out and puts it in another basket. This helps her to see who she has called on, if every child is getting a chance to have a turn in something that they're doing that day, or if she is calling on the same children over and over and over again. Something this simple can help as you are trying to involve every child. Now, here at the beginning, you may have a child who's very shy, and it is okay for them not to participate right here at the beginning. Work with them, get them excited about what they're doing. Have a buddy system. Maybe they have a friend that could help them, and when that child stands, the friend could take their hand and could stand with that child so they're not by themselves. Wait to call them to come up to the front until you've been in class a little bit longer. Now, you really have to work on this because in K-5, you're going to have oral grades, and they do need to give you an answer. But this does not happen for the first 6 weeks of school, so we have time to help build their confidence. As we involve every student, it makes that time so much fun. The children love to be able to count and learn, and it is fun to watch them do this. Now, being able to involve every student may be just having the class do it. So let's watch now as Mrs. Turner makes counting fun with her children. She is making every moment count, and she's explaining things in a way that learning is taking place. Now, she's giving them more than one thing to do. So let's watch as she helps the children count by tens.
We'll go all the way to 100.
10, 20. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
I have to say that table 3, they worked really, really hard on that. We're going to count all the way to 100 again by tens. We'll say 10, and then students watching will say 20. We'll go all the way to 100. Begin.
10,
20,
30,
40,
50,
60,
70,
80,
90.
100. I love the teamwork. Now, girls, you'll stand and say 10. Remember, we're just standing. We're not jumping. We'll go 10, and then boys will go 20, and then 30 all the way. So, girls?
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
Good work.
You can tell that counting is so much fun. She was able to involve all those children, and they were excited. She encouraged responsibility, which is our next step. She's telling them more than one thing they need to do. She's helping them to think critically. They need to be able to try to do the motion along with what they're counting. So this really helps their brain to be stretched. Train your students to do things for themselves. Now, we have to do some of those things for these little children, and I love this age group because we are able to do that. But begin to train them to do things on their own. This may be with snack time, helping them to be able to open up something from their snack box. This may be putting their toys away, helping them to be able to do this, giving them that responsibility, helping them to take ownership of the things that God has given them in their classroom. That God has given them these toys and we want to take care of these things. So give them the opportunity to figure things out, to take responsibility, and then reward them when they're doing good thinking. Praise them. Help them as they're making wise choices, that they're doing that positive behavior. Praise, praise, praise them as they do this. Let's see how Mrs. Turner is able to help them and reward them for doing their best. Character training takes place all throughout our day. So let's watch how she encourages the other students to be excited for their friends when they're doing their best.
Now, my eyes have been watching, and I need one of our friends. They're going to get to come up here, and I'm going to give them a special caterpillar. You might think, Mrs. Turner, why do they get that special caterpillar? I caught them giving God their best. Students watching, are you giving God your best? I would like for you, Cadence, to come to the front. Oh, I love your hard work. I'm going to let my friend, this caterpillar, he's going to go and sit with you for a few minutes. Thank you so much for working hard. You can go back to your seat now. Oh, I love when our friends in our classroom work hard.
Can't you tell that she genuinely loves her students? She is excited to help their friends also love them too. This makes it so much fun when they are the one who's getting that praise. They want to do it because they are excited to see how happy everyone gets for them. Now let's talk about the next part of our home. Now, in some houses, this might be a basement. It might be a bonus room, whatever you want to call it, but usually this is where storage may take place. It might even be a garage, but there are things that are stored there. So let's look at our classroom storage and what we need to do. We are going to store up some tools that can help us in these first few weeks of our teaching experience in a brand new classroom. So what can we do? Those first tools that we need and what we can allow ourselves to do is be prepared daily. We talked about already how you take out lessons 1 through 5 and you plan for your week, but you study by the day. So ask the Lord to help you have everything ready. On the board behind me, you can see that the teacher is ready for the next day. She has already planned everything out. She's looked right at the curriculum in the preparation section, and she knows what she needs up on the board. This is going to help her so when she comes to school the next day, she can spend time with her children. She can enjoy the time with her students. She can help those students get excited about being in the classroom without having to put things up on the board. Now, I recognize that your classroom board may be a little bit smaller, and there may be times of the day that you need to put your board work up. That's fine, but have everything ready. Set out items on your counter or on a small table so that that classroom time is not taken away and you can move quickly in getting your preparation done. Ask the Lord to help you get proper rest. Make sure that you have plenty of rest. It might be hard to sleep those first few nights of school, but it's going to be important for you to take time to get proper nutrition and proper rest. You're also going to need an outlet. Whether you like to take a long walk, or you like exercise, or maybe it's just going to a park and reading a book, something that you enjoy doing, it's important for you to continue to do that. Make time for yourself. So here at the beginning, we want to make sure we are prepared daily, not only for what we're going to do in the classroom as far as the lesson goes, but with ourselves. We want to make sure that we are getting that rest and that nutrition so that we can be positive, so that we can feel energized, and we can be ready to use those resources in the classroom that the Lord has given us. Now, I love working with this age group because in this age group, we get snack time. There is nothing wrong with kindergarten teachers and preschool teachers having snack time too. It's exciting and it's fun for those children to have this part of their day. It is important for them, and just as it's important for them to have this nourishment, it may be important for you as well. Also, make sure that you are getting that proper rest, and that if you have late nights, then allow yourself to have a night where you do not work on school. Be thoroughly prepared so that as you've planned for that week and you've put things up on the board for the next day, that you are able to just take a break. Spend time with your family or enjoy something that you can do with friends. This is important for you so that you can be in the classroom feeling energized. It's going to help it not to feel like a chore as you're planning. Now, at the beginning, often as a new teacher, you might be so excited that you're spending every waking moment in your classroom. You're getting things ready. You're putting things away. You're using your Cricut to be able to make a label, and you're labeling things in the classroom because it makes it fun. Well, that's exciting, but don't spend so much time on those little things that you do not take time out for yourself. As you are in the classroom, allow yourself to be very aware of what's going on. Just as you need to be aware of your own being, be aware of your students. Watch what they're doing. Notice if you see someone who can't sit still, try to find out what's going on. I can remember as a teacher, and we were using wooden chairs back in that time. And as we were using those wooden chairs, one of my students just could not sit still. Now, we will have those students who can't sit still, but this child was not one who usually moved all over the place. And come to find out, that child had a big splinter that was sticking out of the wooden chair. It was something that I was able to help them with and come to the conclusion of why they couldn't sit still. Now, the child was fine. We were able to get it fixed, but be aware of what's going on. Don't be quick to scold them for what they're doing if they're not sitting still. Try to find out if there's a reason. Maybe they need to go to the restroom. Maybe they are just not feeling well and they're trying not to get sick. Maybe they're simply just so tired that they need to rest their head and they're trying to make themselves stay awake. It's true that some of these children, they go all morning and they do not have a nap time. But at home, they're still napping mid-morning on the weekends. So you have to take that into consideration as you're being aware of what's going on. As you do this, make sure that you're moving around. Don't stay idle in one spot of the classroom. Now, you're going to give the children a spot to stand. They're going to have a place for their things. They're going to have a place for their chair, for their desk, for their toys. They're going to have a place for their bodies when they stand or when they sit. But for you, you need to move around. You need to make sure that you're seeing what's going on from not only the front of your classroom, but also from the back of your classroom. So move around so that you can see if there is something that could cause a problem. It's important for you to scan the classroom. See if there is something that is out of place that is causing distraction. Maybe you have some toys over to the side, but they're right in the line of vision for the children. So as you're wanting them to keep their eyes on you, they are unable to do this. They're not able to keep their eyes on you because they are too distracted by what is set to the side of the room. So maybe you need to have art supplies and toys that they're going to do later on in lessons moved over to the side where it's out of their line of vision. It's fine to have those things out. You need to be prepared. You want to make sure that the things that you need to put up on the board are ready to go. But let's not distract and overstimulate the little ones. Now, if you look behind me, you can tell that the teacher has everything ready to go. She's got everything set up so that she can teach from her board for the next day. Now, in your classroom, you may not have as many resources as we do here in our classrooms, but you can use the space that's provided. Maybe you can use shoe boxes, or you can use crates to store things in. Maybe you can use bins from a dollar store, or maybe you can use something that even your textbooks and supplies came in at the beginning of the year. This will help you to be able to keep their supplies and to keep their items right where you need them. It's going to be a good storage unit for you so that you're not tripping over everything. The students are able to focus and you're able to keep moving on with that lesson. So be able to plan and have these things where they need to be. Many of our teachers will use just plastic containers to keep their crayons and their pencil in, and they will store those inside the desk. That way, when the children need to get these supplies out, they're able to do so without them falling all over the floor. If their crayons are not in a special place, they can easily get knocked off their desk. And we all know that with this age group, some children are very, very particular about where their items are kept. So give them a definite place to store them and help them not to be upset if something is out of place, but to take that responsibility that we talked about for those things. They will be able to help each other, they'll be able to stay focused, and that will be a help to you as you're teaching them. Practice as you're scanning the classroom. You're going to be able to give a teacher look, a corrective look that is not making the children fearful of you, but rather respectful. This is something that a first-year teacher needs to practice in the mirror. I can remember as I began to teach that I had to practice that teacher look. And when I saw myself being recorded in the classroom, we would record and we would watch ourselves and do a self-evaluation. I thought, no wonder these children are not responding the way that I need them to respond. I would be laughing at myself too because my teacher look did not look the way I thought it needed to be. So I was thankful for a director who worked with me and also gave me some advice on how to improve this. And guess what I had to do? I had to look in a mirror and I had to practice it over and over and over again. And then it became more natural. I had to ask the Lord to help me. Now, this takes a balance. You do not want to give a teacher look that makes the children feel that you are mad at them or angry at them, but rather it could be a look of surprise. It could be a look of, I cannot believe you're doing this right now. What are you doing? Or it can be a look of firmness that comes from your face of they realize that they're not the boss. You are the boss, and what you said is what they need to do. And then once you're done, maybe you're holding flashcards and you're flipping through those flashcards and you're giving that teacher look to another child, but you can keep on going and you keep your lesson moving. That takes practice. It won't happen that first week of school, but it will come as you continue to work with the children. So practice your corrective look that you need to give to these children and ask the Lord to give you the proper balance. You're going to know your students well enough that you're going to know the children who can respond better with a firm look, or they may just simply need you to go right up beside them and remind them. I have 2 children as a parent, and I would characterize my children, if you think of Winnie the Pooh characters, I would characterize my daughter as Tigger times 3, and I would characterize my son as a mixture of Eeyore and Piglet. And I don't think I need to tell you why I would characterize them in that way. But those children who are going to be your Tiggers, they're going to be full of energy. Win their hearts, motivate them, let them do things for you so that they can be successful. And then also allow those children who may be a little more sensitive to not feel that they are just squelched by any corrective measure that you've been able to give them. Don't take it lightly if they're doing wrong, because they're children and they will do something that is wrong. But help them as they are able to learn from their mistakes. So practice that teacher look. Now, as you've had the right rest and the proper nutrition, you have a storage place for everything that you have in the classroom. You've thought through your lesson plans. You've planned by the week. You've studied by the day. You're ready to go. So what do you need to do before that first day of school? Check your board, make sure you have everything out and everything in place. Have a plan for what they need to do when they come in that morning. Here at PCA, we have about 45 minutes before we start our day that our students are able to be dropped off. This is a non-academic part of our day. That means that the teacher can work with them. But at the beginning of school, that's a lot of time for those children who have never been away from mommies and daddies to think about it. They need to be kept busy. So have something planned for them. Remember that you want to be consistent in what you're doing. So don't have the same thing out, but have something that they can consistently do. For instance, I would not recommend having puzzles out those first few weeks of school. They're working on those fine motor skills. So if they can't do a puzzle and they're not ready with those motor skills, that is something they can work on a little bit later in the school year. If they're not ready to do that, then we need to have something that they can do. So it might be something as simple as small blocks. It might be something just as books. Or it may be something that is just a small toy that they can play with at their desk. Now maybe you say, but something with toys that drives me crazy is that it makes so much noise on the desk. Well, have you ever taken a piece of felt and used it as their fun placemat? And then they play with their toys on top of that piece of felt. It keeps their toys from clanking around on top of the desk. It makes it quieter. It's something very simple. You can get a simple piece of 4x4 or 4x8 felt from a store and cut it into pieces for your class to be able to use. They can store these in their desk, or you can simply collect them each morning, have them out on the desk for when they come in so they're not trying to find something, and then you'll be ready to go. This is going to make your day start off right. After you see that you have everything ready to go, then turn off that light and be ready to start your day. So what do you do when you walk in that first day? Go ahead and get everything turned on. Maybe have some quiet music for the children to listen to, something instrumental, and then be ready to greet those children at the door. Now, as circumstances come up throughout the day, remember to ask the Lord to help you to respond properly. Those children are going to be in a classroom setting for the very first time. They need to learn what your expectations are. So you're going to be practicing over and over, giving them much information that's going to help them to know what they need to do. So give them those commands. At the beginning, they do not even know that your first rule is going to be that they don't talk without permission. So here at the beginning, if you lower your voice and you're quiet and you whisper to them, It's going to help them to also be able to whisper to you. This will help you not to get frustrated with them as you're going throughout those first few days. So ask the Lord to help you with that final step of responding properly. Be consistent, be fair, be kind. And then remember, do not be sarcastic or hateful. Don't nag them. Don't keep saying it so many times over and over again. Just to be consistent, fair, and kind. As you look at lesson 1, and then you go all the way to lesson 170, you're going to be able to reflect back and think, I remember that first day where I was asking, can I really do this? And I remember understanding that the Lord has promised, faithful is he who calleth you, who also will do it. We can't do it, but God can. And when you look at the lessons and the blessings that the Lord shows you throughout this school year, you are going to see and remember just how good God is. And you're going to be excited about how far you've come all the way to lesson 170.